Hey everybody, welcome to another video, and in today's video we're going to finish up the koji making process, and I'm going to show you how to make Koji Kin. So I'm about to embark in this sort of sake adventure, and so I made a huge batch of Koji Rice, as you can see right here. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to show you some of the updates I've got to the chamber, my incubation chamber, and um, and then finishing the process so that you could see how to make Koji Kin or the actual spores so that you don't have to buy them anymore. All right. So, what I definitely recommend doing is starting off with a good set of spores. But once you have some spores and you are able to make koji rice, this is going to be the next step so that you will always have fresh koji. Now, one of the changes that I made to my incubation chamber was the way that it heated up. As you guys saw in some of my other videos, I was using my smoker as a method for keeping it warm, but it doesn't do such a great job at temperatures that low. And so this particular method absolutely worked incredibly well. And all it is, it's a light bulb connected to an outlet. And what I did was I put some high temp gasket maker on the bottom and on the top, and I cover the little tin up. Now you could use a paint can, or it really doesn't matter what you use. I like this because you can remove it, and it's kind of tidy and neat. But what happens is when that light comes on, it heats up the inside of that tin, in essence, radiating heat, elevating the temperature. And I'm able to really hone in on the temperatures that are necessary to make koji. But this is also going to work for fermentation of anything. So the first thing I did was I used this temperature control, and all I did was I preset my values, and then I used the humidity control. And so I'm really technically not using my smoker anymore per se. Really, it's more of a box. So if you wanted to do this at home, you do need a temperature control and a humidity control, but you could do it inside of an ice chest. You could do it inside of a cabinet, I guess, if you really want, or one of those Rubbermaid, storage containers. And my temperature control is hooked up to that light right there on heating because I don't need it to be cold. And my humidity control is hooked up to a humidifier. Now, that other um, outlet would be for like a dehumidifier if you wanted to reduce the humidity. But I don't need to do that. And so when I open up my chamber, here's what we're looking at. Very simple. At this point, it's literally just a box in which I'm controlling the temperature and the humidity. So that's my temperature probe and my humidity probe from those two units up at the top. I'll put a link below where I got those two Inkbirds. They're great. They're fairly inexpensive. And you could use this for all sorts of things. But as you can see right here, there's my humidifier right in the front. And there's my my heat source right in the back. And then all the trays in between, I'm going to obviously put my koji. So once my koji rice was done, and what I did was I separated probably about 8 cups, and I took those 8 cups and I put it back into my chamber, right? So I harvested what I thought I would need for sake, and I kept about 6 or 8 cups, put it back in the chamber for 2 more days, and this is kind of what it looked like. Actually, this is exactly what it looked like. As you could see, the mold continued to develop, the spores continued to grow, and started to create the actual green spores for Koji Kin. And those green spores is what we're going to use to inoculate other rice when we want to make Koji rice. And so I actually left it in there for another 24 hours. I thought it could get a little more green, and it sure did. And so you have to really kind of take a peek at it. When you feel like you've got sufficient mold growth, you can go ahead and pull it out. But the idea is that you're going to have green spores everywhere. Let me get a little close up so that you can see what those spores look like, maybe even better. Each one of those spores are going to look like little hairs coming out of it with like these round circular balls at the very top. And it actually looks really, really pretty. It smells really neat. And at this stage, we need to dry it. So all we're going to do is I'm going to break up that Koji Kin rice, and I'm going to break it up into like little meatball size portions because I want to dry it up a little bit. But notice I'm not touching too much the part that's got the spores, or I'm trying not to. So I'm trying to leave that pretty much untouched because it will get all over your hands. And if it's on your hands, well, then you're not going to be able to use it later. So I'm just breaking it up into smaller chunks, and I'm going to set this on my dehydrator. I'm not going to put it in my dehydrator, but I'm going to put it on top of my dehydrator because I've got stuff in it right now that's dehydrating at a higher temp, and the heat that's radiating from that dehydrator is sufficient enough to dry the Koji Kin rice. So now I want to say like a day and a half has gone by, and it's fairly dry. I could break it up, and it's not too crazy. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in my Vitamix. I found that this Vitamix does a heck of a job in turning rice into flour. And so the easiest way for me to harvest this was to simply blend it all up, put it into a powder like this, and then this is going to be the source for more Koji rice. There are some alternative ways to package it up. One of those ways is simply extracting the spores from the Koji Kin, but I haven't found a convenient way to do that that isn't incredibly laborious and time consuming. And so I found this way to be the easiest. You could be a little more generous whenever you're inoculating your rice, when you're making Koji rice. And there you go. If you got any questions on how to make Koji Kin, leave them in the comment section below. I hope you like this video. Give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing, because we're going to be posting videos every week on really crazy and random and unique fun stuff. And I think you're going to love it. Take care. We'll see you in another video.